allow God to lead you. You see, for the past 2, 3 weeks, we've been ministering on a topic which talks about the ways of God. But I just, felt it in my spirit that I should take a diversion and help you to understand something that is very, very important. And I'm here to teach about allow God to lead you. You see, the problem with most people is that they have not allowed God to lead them. And when they have not allowed God to lead them, they end up in problems. And when they end up in problems, they want to blame God for the problems that they are facing. But in the beginning, the question is, did you allow God to lead you? Did you allow God to move with you? The Bible tells us that when God told Moses and said, Moses, I want to send you to Egypt. Moses said a statement that most people look at it and they don't understand it. Moses says, you know what, Lord, if you want us to go, you know what? In fact, Moses said it this way. He said, if you don't go with me, then I will not go. So he's trying to show us the importance of walking with God everywhere. And I want you to understand a revelation based on what Moses was saying, because most of you didn't catch that revelation, but I want you to catch the revelation. The revelation here, look at what Moses says. Or let me break down this thing for you so that you begin to understand. God is the one who's sending Moses. He says, Moses, I want to send you to where? To Egypt. I want you to go and deliver my people. Look at this. Moses had seen encounters. He had seen the burning bush. He had seen everything. But he still refused to walk alone. He said, as for me, I know you appeared to me physically. I know you have done this. I know I've seen, the rod changing into be a snake. But I can't go to Egypt without your presence. If I'm to go to Egypt, I must go with your presence. How many of you today you walk with the presence of Jehovah? How many of you today you walk with the presence of God? You realize that there are very few people that walk with the presence of Jehovah. That is why when you begin to move and you are taking a step and you are going somewhere and you become you get stuck, you begin to blame and say, God, where are you? Imagine what was going to happen if the presence of the Lord was not with Moses when they met the Red Sea. What was going to happen? Imagine what was going to happen when Moses was in the desert and the children of Israel were looking for water. Imagine what was going to happen if the presence of the Lord did not go with Moses and they're in the desert and the children of Israel are hungry. So the problem with most of you, you are walking in this journey alone. I understand you have received the prophecy. It is fine. I understand that somebody told you that you've got the calling. It is okay. I understand that, you know what, sometimes you prophesy, you heal the sick, you do them. But the question I have for you tonight is, are you walking, are you moving with the presence of the Lord? Could it be that the reason why you are failing in your academics, could it be that the reason why your finances are not working out, it is that you received something, but you left without the presence? You see, never allow yourself to move and go to a certain location without the presence of the Lord. In fact, the Bible tells us that one time Jesus, took his disciples and said, you know what, get into the boat. I will follow you. Imagine what begins to happen. Let's try to understand what begins to happen. The Bible actually tells us that the moment the God into the boat, Jesus did not get into the boat with them. So they went alone. In other words, they went without Jesus. How many people today are moving without Jesus? Why is it that Jesus did not want to get into the boat? The Bible tells us that Jesus went to the mountain to pray. Why is it that he can allow his disciples to go and then he goes into a place of prayer? That is an error right there. And we begin to see something that begins to happen. The Bible tells us that when they were in the middle of the sea, a storm arose like this. And you look at this, a storm is arising when Jesus is not in the picture. A storm is arising when Jesus is not in the boat. This is what most Christians, most children of God are struggling with today. When challenges come into their life, Jesus is not found. So the question I have is, I understand you've got the gift. I understand you can preach. I understand you've got all these things. But the question is, do you have the presence? Are you moving with his active presence? Or you're just moving based on yesterday's revelation? The Bible says when the storm arose, they tried by all means to get the boat into the land. And then that's where we now see Jesus coming, walking on the water. So in other words, where Jesus is coming from gave him an ability to walk in the water. But the disciples did not have the same privilege of walking in the water. I don't know if I'm talking to somebody. Why? They chose to get on the boat and left Jesus who are going to pray. So the question I have for you is, are you moving with the presence of God? So the problem with most of you is that the presence of God can come upon your life, but will you allow him? Will you allow him to lead you? That is where I want to talk about. This is what I want to teach about tonight. Can you allow the presence of God to lead you? Can you allow God to lead you? Most of the people, trust me, they can't allow their hearts, their conscience is what Paul says in the Bible. It says, your conscience has been sealed with hot iron. In other words, you don't want anybody to tell you anything. No, you have already decided this is how I'm going to do it. So I want to show you something because